Need Pokemon Go PvP coaching? Well, I'm on Metafy, so click the link in the video description, it'll take you right to my page. What's up, guys? We have another video, this time in Ultra League. First time I've been playing Ultra League in an extremely long time. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Ultra League, but kind of tired of Element Cup already, not gonna lie. Not a lot of variety in that meta. And as well, we have a big new addition to the meta. Not just the Ultra League meta, but also the potentially Great League meta. We have Tapu Fini, if you can manage to trade one below 1500, that is, which is quite hard to do. So Tapu Fini, the new Tapu, the new legendary Pokemon that's come out. It is a water fairy type, so essentially an Ultra League Azumarill. It's got better charge moves, worse fast move, but honestly, it performs pretty well. It's got a lot of great matchups versus the meta against, of course, things like Giratina, and then of course it has some really bad matchups versus the meta. You see with Water Gun as a fast move and no real grass coverage, any grass type completely dominates it. So you need a couple answers to grass types in the back. So if we take a look at this team here, it is slightly ABB, slightly balanced. You can play it kind of as both. In neutral leads, I do like to switch out. People aren't running a lot of hard counters for Trevenant anyways, and if they are, they're dark types, which Tapu Fini can generally handle pretty well, except for, well, this Drapion here. For example, Talonflame and Tapu Fini actually form an extremely good core. This was my highest priority as a core here, besides potentially Burn Drive Genesect, which I really wanted to run, but unfortunately lacked the rare candies after I had to spend 200 of my own on this Tapu Fini in the first place. But yeah, Trevenant ends up baiting out a lot of Pokemon that can also threaten Talonflame, obviously besides the water types. So for example, those water types, you see a Swampert in the lead or something like that, you're gonna have to stay in and just wait. But besides the water types, they actually do have a lot of very similar matchups, I would say, and they also have a lot of very similar positive matchups against those grass types. So Tapu Fini actually has the ability to switch out of these bad matchups. Yes, unfortunately, a little bit balanced, a little bit ABB, so there's no clear playstyle. You kind of gotta adjust as you go. So Scrafty lead, this is fantastic for Tapu Fini, and they're gonna swap out right away into Jellicent. We only have one real answer for Jellicent, and that's Trevenant, so it's a good thing that they swapped out right away. I'm gonna go straight for the Seed Bomb here. And by straight for, I mean I just want to get some damage on this thing. Because like I said, Trevenant is the only true answer to Jellicent on this team. They go for the Bubble Beam. Try to go for a sneak. Doesn't work out. So we'll shield, and this time it is a Shadow Ball. So once again, I will build up a little bit. Go for the Seed Bomb. See if they want to commit that final shield. Seed Bomb won't KO, but it'll deal quite a bit of damage, and I'll be able to get to the Seed Bomb, the next Seed Bomb, before they get to Shadow Ball. So it was a low risk play, low reward, didn't pay off. And then in this case, they actually do get to the Shadow Ball here. Gonna be able to take out my Trevenant. Unfortunately, didn't quite do enough Shadow Claw damage, and then I'll be able to get some farm with Talonflame here. Get started, and with shields down, there's not a lot that Talonflame really worries about. And in fact, my opponent realizes this, and they're just out of this game already, knowing that there's a Scrafty in the back against Tapu Fini with shields down. There's zero shot of winning. So we're gonna pick up first win with the team here. Walrein lead. This one's a bit tricky. Walrein versus Tapu Fini is not ideal for Tapu Fini. You lose most of these shield scenarios, but in the zero shield, it's actually pretty close. So we're gonna play the shield scenario. Worst case, we farm this thing down with Talonflame. So I'm gonna go for the Moonblast. And yeah, we can't swap to Trevenant because Walrein comes through Trevenant in Ultra League, and then also Talonflame is not the greatest against Walrein, so this is maybe the best answer that we have right now. Sorry about that. Anyways, if they bait, they go for the double Icicle Spear at the end because it's a safer play. Second Icicle Spear actually does not take you out. My Tapu Fini's IVs are not good, so I will be able to get to the Surf, which is kind of important because this is going to allow me to farm down this Walrein before it gets to any sort of powerful move. And I'm going to go with the Talonflame even. They're going to come in with their own Talonflame, and I'm going to throw right away because I'm trying to pretend like it's a Brave Bird and swap. But it's not. It's a Flame Charge. So I don't normally like baiting a Talonflame versus Talonflame because you fail, it's a complete disaster. In this case, I actually almost decided to just let it through, just in case they Brave Bird. But you know what? Actually, in hindsight, I probably should have let it through, but I was ahead on energy by an entire move. Was able to just get that Brave Bird off, grab the last shield, and I know at this point a Brave Bird will be able to take out their Talonflame. We're both sneaking moves, but since I'm one ahead, I do get to this Brave Bird. Gonna be able to take out their Talonflame, and then I'm gonna have to swap regardless because my Talonflame's defense is at 0 essentially. In comes Sylveon, and this matchup is not the worst for Trevenant. This is actually a pretty neutral matchup. These Shadow Balls are going to hit really, really hard if the game actually lets me throw them. Yeah, the game was acting out a little bit more than it ever has. There was a ton of desync. Look, my opponent isn't even attacking. And then they swap into Walrein. Like, I'm not sure what's happening at this point, but I don't think it would have changed anything. Yeah, there's a lot of desync, a lot of CMPs that didn't work, a lot of moves that didn't get thrown when they were supposed to be thrown, unfortunately. So, and even in that first game where I was talking over and explaining how to play the team, I got KO'd by a Drapion getting to an Aqua Tail against my Talonflame when it shouldn't have been possible. Empoleon lead, this one's pretty tricky too. I'm going to swap right into Trevenant, see my opponent desyncs as well, and they come right in with Sylveon. Unfortunately, this is my only play versus Empoleon because it's kind of the only Pokemon that has any real play against it. So I'm trying to manufacture a situation where I can get some sort of advantage here against the Empoleon, or an energy advantage on the Talonflame or something like that. So I managed to KO the Sylveon. In comes Empoleon. I'm going to be able to make it to a Shadow Ball here, which is extremely important. If this goes through, it's fantastic. If it doesn't, well, at least I made them use a shield. So, one shield down. And yeah, we have to bring the Tapu Fini to kind of soak up some of this damage. Obviously, you can't bring Talonflame into Empoleon. This is maybe the hardest Talonflame counter in all of Ultra League, resisting Brave Bird and only taking neutral from Flame Charge. So either way, Tapu Fini able to get to the Surf, and any damage here is good at this point. Kind of hoping, yeah, that they swap out, and it's a Slowbro, so this is a little bit tricky. Another water type in the back. This is exactly what you'd love to see Trevenant on, but unfortunately my Trevenant is not still around. So I'll shield up whatever the Slowbro uses. Gonna go up to max energy. Unfortunately, because they have a 4-turn move, they're gonna get an extra sneak in. And throw a Brave Bird here. Doesn't quite KO, unfortunately. But hopefully this Flame Charge does. I'm really hoping they don't shield this, because if they do, I lose. Luckily, my opponent doesn't realize that. They don't shield. In comes Empoleon. Gonna farm down the Talonflame, take quite a bit of damage, and then it's Tapu Fini versus Empoleon. In the one shield, Empoleon is gonna make it to a move. But that, my friends, is why we invented shields. Gonna shield this up, and Tapu Fini with the 1-turn fast move is gonna take Empoleon down before it can even fire its second move off. If it was at it, honestly. Was not counting by that point, but it could have been. Alright. Next game, Swampert leads. So this is what I talked about earlier. These water leads, you kind of have to stay in. And Swampert's a bit tricky. It doesn't generally run Sludge Wave in Ultra League, so you don't really have to worry about that. Earthquake won't take you out. It'll deal quite a bit of damage. Yeah, we've seen Hydro Cannon coming through here. A little bit of lag. Go for the bait. But it is a Hydro Cannon and a Moonblast that's necessary to take you out. Because my opponent baited, I'm going to bait. Baiters love to shield because everyone kind of plays like themselves. I don't like baiting, and therefore I don't shield a lot. But if I see someone who just goes for a random bait off the bat, well, you can be sure that I am going to bait back, and usually can grab a shield there. So, going to get the second Surf off. This is kind of a big deal, because now the Swampert is in farm down range for Trevenant. So I'm going to go with Trev. They're going to swap out to Scrafty, and I have a perfect answer for this. I make a little bit of a mistake here. I really should have farmed a little bit more. Foul play I'm going to take regardless. But I throw the Brave Bird right away. I think they don't expect me to throw this right away either, because if they don't shield the first Flame Charge, then they have a shot. And they're going to bring back in the Swampert. They're going to deal some damage to it. Going to take Talonflame out with a Hydro Cannon. The Trevenant will be able to come in and farm this thing down. Almost. It'll get to a Hydro Cannon, but honestly, Trevenant versus Swampert is maybe one of the hardest counters in the entire game. And then in comes Drapion. So this one's a bit tricky. This is tough. Shield advantage, Trevenant versus Drapion. Like, those Shadow Balls really hurt, but you need to land 2 of them. And at this point, I go for the Seed Bomb bait. It's a 50-50. I figured he was baiting earlier. I'll bait now. And he doesn't fall for it. So, well played. Unfortunately, I'm going to need to make it to 2 more Seed Bombs, which seems near impossible at this point. But it is dawning on me that if I had just gone for a straight Shadow Ball, and when I did the math, I wasn't going to quite be able to get to that second Shadow Ball, but I snuck more moves than they did. So I think in hindsight, I would have been able to get to 2 Shadow Balls here, and I would have been able to take out this Drapion, fortunately. Yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But you can't be too mad about a 3-2 set. 3-2s always mean gains. And we do have another set here, so we'll see how this one goes. Tapu Fini versus Deoxys Defense. I think I swapped out of this matchup, but honestly, maybe I shouldn't have. Because Deoxys doesn't seem to be running Thunderbolt in Ultra League. Deoxys is more of a Rock Slide Psycho Boost Pokemon in Ultra League. Now, honestly, Tapu Fini has a pretty good matchup versus it. Deoxys is pretty tanky, but counters resisted due to the fairy typing. Tapu Fini puts out some solid 1-turn move damage, which is really good against Deoxys due to its low health pool and high defense pool. And 1-turn fast moves dealing a guaranteed 1 extra damage. In this case, I do shield up a move on this Giratina. I'm going to throw another Shadow Ball. I really just wanted to get its shields down so Talonflame could deal with some Pokemon. But instead they let it through, so I'll win switch with Trevenant instead, which is fine with me. In comes Charm Ninetales. I'm kind of glad I waited, but unfortunately, this means that I swapped out of the Tapu Fini Deoxys matchup, and I kind of actually want to be in it at this point. So they throw a Rock Slide, I'm assuming. I'm gonna have to shield this one up, and I'll hit back with the Brave Bird, which I'm sure they're gonna want to shield up too. And then I'm just gonna get right out of there. Tapu Fini with shields down, looking much better versus Deoxys because you can just hit it with the big Moonblast at that point. The Rock Slides, yeah, look, they don't hurt that much. Deoxys' attack is pretty abysmal. But I'm going to be able to get this Moonblast off. The problem here is I don't want to take out this Deoxys. I want my Talonflame farm this Deoxys down, because I can get some energy, and if I have some energy, I'll be able to take down that Alolan Ninetales. But unfortunately, they're able to swap earlier than I am because I Brave Bird and then swap. So I'm in a little bit of trouble. This game. Yeah, I really should have farmed up a little bit more. I don't know what I'm doing throwing right away. Because of this, I'm going to have to take out Deoxys in just 2 Incinerates, or 1 Incinerate. But it was not meant to be. It just did not do quite enough damage. If I had farmed up a little bit more on the Ninetales, I would have been able to win this match. And yeah, very frustrating one, because in this case I should have had 0 win con. Even if I just swapped to my Tapu Fini right away, I would have been in a much better position. Giratina lead, so they swap out right away into Talonflame, not the Tapu Fini counter you're looking for. Unfortunately, they do catch me on the CMP, so I will shield the Brave Bird, and then it forces me to throw the Surf, so this is the worst possible scenario. I could have just farmed this thing down at that point. But it is what it is. I took out a Pokemon for a shield, so it's not too bad. Tapu Fini is a pretty good matchup versus Giratina as well. Especially, I'm assuming Giratina is running Dragon Breath. I see the Registeel come in, and look what I do here. I swap into my second best counter. You don't swap into your best counter, because they're going to swap out here sooner or later. So I swap into Talonflame. I'm just saving my Trevenant for this Registeel. And I was trying to just avoid a catch there. It doesn't look like they're going to swap, so I'm going to throw a Flame Charge. And then I'm going to throw another Flame Charge. Just grabbing some shields off this Registeel, which is absolutely fantastic. I get these shields down. Tapu Fini's matchup versus Giratina is all the better. So I've also stalled the clock enough that I can come with Trevenant, and it doesn't really matter what happens here. Yeah, they come in with their Giratina. I wait for the switch timer to come up, switch out, catch the move. Big Dragon Claw on Tapu Fini, does almost nothing, and then of course Tapu Fini will be able to finish off this Giratina with a big Moonblast, but it won't get to that point. My opponent realizes they're hard countered on all sides, and gonna be able to pick up another win. Yeah, there was a lot of lag and a lot of I guess misplaced. Just not used to Ultra League bulk. Been a while since I've played. So this is a bit of a problem. Oh no, not for this team, for a different team I played. Cress versus Tapu Fini is obviously very good for Cress. Grass Knot. In this case, they come in with the Como O. And Trev versus Como O, I feel like it's pretty solid. So I don't really mind no shielding this. It's not going to throw a close combat, so it's got to be a Dragon Claw. There's a decent amount of damage, but the Shadow Wall just hits a little bit harder. I go for the CMP tie versus this Como O. So they just hit the Dragon Claw. But C-Bomb goes off first. They're going to let it go. And Trev wins Switchback, which is extremely important because this Cress is going to have to deal with the Talonflame instead. So Talonflame, a little bit more annoying, and we have another Deoxys in the back. This time I learned my lesson. I'm going to swap out right away. Not going to mess around with the Brave Bird and switch or anything like that. Tank these Rock Slides. I don't even need to take out this DD. I just need to get it low. My opponent's probably also thinking the same thing here. So, yeah, gonna get a shield off this Deoxys. I think they realize how important the Deoxys is gonna be, but I know shield once again. Just gonna go for the Surf this time. I just need to get some damage out so Talonflame can farm this guy down. And yeah, Deoxys absolutely has to throw. They actually swap out, and I'm gonna follow them, swap into my Talonflame as well. Definitely don't want to throw. I need to save my Tapu Fini for Deoxys. I'm gonna go for the Flame Charge. I probably could have gone for the Brave Bird since it doesn't really matter if my defense is lowered because I have shields. I can shield up all the damage that they have. These Psycho Cuts and counters don't do anything to Talonflame, so honestly the Brave Bird strategy probably would have been better. But because I go for the Flame Charge, I'm able to no shield another Moonblast and just keep ticking down this Cresselia. Cresselia is so bulky in Ultra League. This is kind of painful to watch, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna have to start shielding up moves. Unfortunately, it's a Grass Knot. And here we go. Here's the lag monster. This is the final boss. You know, I'm looking pretty good in this game. But then we have a bit of lag. And yeah, Cresselia gets its move off, despite not being at it. And I don't get my move off, despite winning CMP. My only win con there is not shielding, because Deoxys can come in and just Rock Slide me. So I have to hope they're baiting. They actually do go for the Grass Knot, which is fantastic news. Talonflame able to get that Incinerate through too. But you know what? I'm not going to shield this. I have Tapu Fini ready to go at the end, able to Water Gun down that Deoxys. Very annoying lag, honestly. If I'd lost that game, I probably would have lost my mind, I think. But because my opponent decided to bait, everything went not so bad. Tapu Fini versus Tapu Fini. Am I looking in a mirror? What do I do here? Can't swap out, right? Because of Talonflame, my opponent desyncs, so I should be one turn ahead to the Moonblast. So I'm going to throw right away. It's going to deal a decent amount of damage if it lands. They actually shield, so they care a bit more about their Tapu Fini than I do, because I am absolutely not going to shield this one. Yeah, and it's a Surf. So this is kind of where it falls to. What is better in this game? Is it to land a successful bait, or to grab a shield, or successfully shield a move? Or is it to successfully call a bait? And I would say successfully calling a bait 1,000 times better for your game. And this kind of proves it. Unfortunately, CMP tie here on Tapu Fini to make a tough decision. I do decide to shield and farm this thing down because I want to keep switch. I want to get Trevenant on their Tapu Fini. It has nowhere to go. And then hopefully Talonflame can handle whatever's in the back. In this case, Tapu Fini is going to throw Surf at my Tapu Fini before I get to the Moonblast. And Trev should have a very easy time. And of course there's a Drapion in the back. Really hope this thing doesn't have Aqua Tail like the first Drapion we saw. But yeah, no shield the first one. And it kind of does come down to a bait game here. Drapion is just very... can do a lot of different things. So Drapion throws the Crunch here. I'm going to build up more. Going to go for the Brave Bird. Hopefully I'll be able to make it to another Brave Bird before I get Poison Sting down. But it'll be very close. It really depends on how the game works. And in fact, we both go down simultaneously, which is mathematically impossible. Because there's no multiple of 2 that is equal to 5. 5 is not a multiple of 2. So how did both Pokemon faint at the same time? I have no idea. That is a question for Niantic to answer. Unfortunately, I do not have the answer to that. Nidoqueen lead. This is a tricky one. This is pretty even, because we have super effective damage going both ways. Now Nidoqueen's going to throw a bait move. The Zero Shield Tapu Fini destroys Nidoqueen, because Surf actually does damage. Poison Fang is mostly a debuff move. I'm going to throw the Surf, and then I'm going to dip out, kind of rendering their debuff ineffective. I now have shield advantage, and then they respond with Umbreon. Yeah, so this is a bit rough. One of the hardest Trevenant counters in the game. Not a lot of people are running it either, so it was a bit surprising to see Umbreon come out. And hopefully my Tapu Fini is healthy enough to deal with this Umbreon. So the goal here is just to deal as much damage as possible with Trev. And these Seed Bombs, they add up. It just doesn't add up like they do in Great League, you know? Harder to flip bad matchups. Well, I don't like Ultra League. It's more rock, paper, scissors. There's not really a way to get around it. ABB teams don't work as well. But either way, I'm going to come in with the Fini. And game is looking Fini at this point. But yeah, Talonflame with 2 shields. Definitely not to be underestimated. This thing is very scary. If you're going to have one Pokemon with 2 shields or shield advantage at the end of the game, it's probably Talonflame, but yeah. Jellicent. Not quite what you want to see in the back. In fact, they just go for the Bubble Beam right off the bat and save you guys 2 minutes of time, because I think it's just gonna Bubble Beam you down. Another 3 wins. I had a bunch of solid sets with this team. Everything was 3 wins, 3 wins, 3 wins. So kind of just the way it goes nowadays, you know, in Ultra League. You can only coin flip so many times in a row. I'm just kidding. There's skill involved in Ultra League, but it's very hard to outplay a bad matchup in Ultra. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This video could not have been done without my Patreon supporters, of course. Not be doing this without you guys. And yeah, appreciate your support, and of course everyone watching. Thank you so much. My socials are in the description, and honestly, if you made it this far, why not throw me a like and a sub? Really just help the metrics out. Thank you.